Hi, I'm Ron Hawkins, Art Director here at Reaper Miniatures.
Ed Pugh, President here at Reaper Miniatures.
And welcome to Reaper Live, the show where we blend gaming, painting, and geek culture all together for your viewing pleasure. We're joined today by producer Michael Collins, Technical Director Justin Elliott.
Hey, how you doing?
Say hello, boys. Thank you. And we are joined today with Ed. We have a special guest. Did you notice?
Yeah, I noticed. Oh, I noticed, yes. We're going to get a painting lesson.
He can't avoid it.
Yes.
And Foerster.
Ta-da! Hey, everybody.
And welcome to Reaper Live.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for joining us today. So, just in case you don't know, Reaper Live is our little show where we, guess what?
I was going to say, what do you geeks do here?
Yeah.
We paint and we talk and
we play it.
we
wow.
paint and talk.
So it's a stretch. No, not really.
Well, for some of us.
This is what we do
not so
every day,
much.
Pinky.
So, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint some stuff. We're going to talk painting. We're going to talk gaming. We're going to talk just all kinds of fun things. So, and we're going to ask you some very pointed personal questions.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
You ready?
Been working on those for all week.
Ooh.
But before we get to that, what we're going to do is we're going to tell everybody what we're painting on today's show. I'll go first. All right. I'm going to paint, hey, guess what? Some ogres, I guess. I'll never
Couldn't
be
see
finished.
that one
I'll
coming,
never be
that's for
finished
sure.
with these guys. So there's my one ogre there by Bobby Jackson. Ed, what are you painting?
I'm doing a banshee with
Put her on
with
the
bats.
That's so that's a female vampire. It's not a banshee.
Oh, whatever. It is
Ron,
not.
do you want to remove
Yeah.
the ogre
Vampires
from the
have
equation?
feet. Okay.
That is not only a vampire. That is the ReaperCon Special Edition resin vampire.
Oh, the vampire
Had
turning
no
into
idea.
bats.
Had no idea. She's kind of controlling, summoning the swarm of bats.
Oh, okay.
It's an awesome piece.
I'm with you there. Don't worry.
It's an awesome piece.
Yeah. I'll just paint my banshee my way.
Okay, Ed's gonna paint a banshee. Okay, and what are you gonna paint?
I'm going to remove Ed's banshee
Don't
from the...
encourage him.
Do I get a raise if I encourage him more?
No.
I'm going to paint the chibi werewolf.
Yay.
I already started on him, and
looks-
I fell out of time, so...
He looks done.
You're like way past that.
Pay
step,
ahead.
for sure.
I think this
Well,
is
we were
done.
gonna-
Yeah.
Well, we were gonna work on.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
all right.
Ed is up there in the background if we want to compare and contrast.
Oh,
that's true.
his little Bonesylvania.
Oh, from last week.
From the
Yeah.
Halloween.
From the Halloween show.
Oh, do
yeah.
you want? Do you want to put
Yeah.
Ed's right next to mine? No.
Let's not do that. But so
Oh, wait, we gotta have somebody up there at all times. So Chibi
Okay.
Werewolf will stay until you have somebody to pop in there. You have two models, so you know.
yeah.
I'd actually put something else on there.
Okay, well let's take your guy out of the way, and we're gonna put this guy back on. Okay, he looks a little different maybe, and with that, let's paint. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right,
Let's
so
go.
let's get some
Excellent.
stuff together. So, Ed, you can go ahead and set Ann up for the first point.
That doesn't sound good, does it, audience?
Pointed-
No.
yes,
None of
yes.
this sounds good, really. You
Yes.
can't see the manacle and chain that are binding me to this
That's
chair,
right,
but they're
that's right.
down there. Trust me.
There is a ball.
So
and
we
chain.
have a thing here. You've got to comply. You need to tell
See? Ball
everybody
and chain.
how you got into this topic. What brought you into the fold?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Never
There's
heard
a
of it.
common
Which was
theme there. Yeah.
Just coming out when I think the box game came out when I was 8. Something like that. So around 9, I painted my first miniature. It was a little plastic snake that came from some board game or other, and I dipped it in Tester's enamel.
Oh no.
So classy. Yes.
That's what I started with.
After
just
that, I
testing.
We all-
discovered. After that, I discovered
Tester's
acrylics.
enamel, yeah.
We've
Yes.
all done that, yeah.
Yes, indeed. I wish I had kept that snake because technically it was the first miniature I ever painted.
And you could have sold it on eBay for like $1,000 billion.
Oh yeah.
1,000 billion. Is that a real number?
Sure it is. Ask an accountant. He'll tell
Oh,
you.
I'll tell you. I'll go for it.
All right, but yeah. So I got in with D&D. My
What-
parents
now,
were
wait a
dubious.
second. What year are we talking about that?
Oh boy.
You got into
When
D&D.
I was, let's see, everybody's gonna be able to do the math and know how old I am. I'm pretty ancient, everybody, just so you know.
Who's not?
So, yeah, you're barely 29, but just if we pretend we went back in time.
Let me
sometime
see.
in
That
the,
would be 1981.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
1981. I'm an 80s child. Yes.
Yes.
So
You don't
wrong.
know. We did a soundtrack in here. But Ed would want all sorts of crappy Aerosmith, so we're gonna just stick
Yeah.
with this. But
And
yeah,
Motley
so yeah, D&D Advanced Dungeons and Dragons books were just coming out, and I was totally into it. And I grew up in Wisconsin, and so there were lots of people who told me I was worshiping demons, and
The birthplace of D&D, Wisconsin.
That actually.
The birthplace
Yes,
of D&D.
yeah, I was only
The AD&D stuff was already out when I got in. So yeah, that's wow.
Wow, look at my illustrious lineage.
Yes.
But
So were you,
yeah.
hey, Ann, were you confused by AD&D versus like the basic set and the expert set? Did you think it was
No, because I actually read the rules, Ron.
Well, I did too.
I could actually read them.
Why do we have
I
two
didn't.
different
I just
versions
said,
of
what do I need
D&D?
to roll?
Well, yes. I just decided I liked AD&D better because they were hardcovers and hardcovers were snazzier, so I just went with that.
It was more expensive, therefore it must be better.
Although it's where I got my Larry Elmore fetish because the box set had lots of awesome Larry Elmore character art, and so I was totally into that, and I still totally love Larry's work. So that is where I became a Larry Elmore fangirl.
Didn't we all? I mean, maybe not.
So my parents got me like the was it Grenadier who put out the Dungeon Explorers box set back in the day, and I painted those badly.
Dip them in testers?
No, actually, we had acrylics.
You didn't by chance store them in coffee cans, did you?
No.
Okay.
I was
just checking.
was actually the person who kept the box carefully, put the miniatures back in the box they came in.
I was going to say.
You didn't chuck them in a coffee can.
I did
That's
not.
the main thing. All right.
Yes.
So you kind of knew what you were doing.
There are still people who come to Paint Club who chuck theirs in, not
right.
coffee
It's
cans
not-
because
yes.
those are out of style, but, Tupperware is, it's horrible. Don't do that to your miniatures.
You should ask
Why?
Ed how he got his first.
That's okay. We already did. I think they figured it out.
I don't mean like right now, but just.
If you start Ed telling stories, we're never going to get him to stop. So let's not. So I didn't get let's talk about seriously into painting miniatures. When I got to college, I started playing role-playing games with a group of people in Madison, Wisconsin, and started painting characters for those games, and Battletech miniatures for our other games, and then started working at a game store somewhere around 1995. And
Shout out to that game store. What is it?
Pegasus Games.
Yay, Pegasus
Madison,
Games.
Wisconsin.
Who's also in Madison,
Still
Wisconsin. ACD Distribution.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
they
they
are.
opened, and a bunch of people from Pegasus actually were some of their first employees.
There you go.
Yep.
Two shout-outs.
Shout out to Lori, who still owns Pegasus, I think. And
Hi, Lori.
yeah, and generally, it was great. It was great. I worked for Pegasus for like 4 years, I think. And
So you got everything at a discount then?
it's just a coupon for product. It's not a paycheck.
Oh.
But,
and that's how you got bit by the serious painting.
Yeah,
bug?
actually, because once the guys at the store found out I could paint, they're like, "You have to play Warhammer with us." And then it was Warhammer. And then once you're into Warhammer and you're reading White Dwarf, you get into Golden Demons, which was the big national painting competition at the time, other than Gen Con.
Well, wait, hold on. So were you always an artsy fartsy kid?
I went to school for art, actually.
Okay, so
while I was in college, I was doing canvas art and stuff like that.
Oils or
I always, actually, this is the funny thing, is I always preferred oils and watercolors, and I hated acrylics. Hated them.
Really?
So now I'm a master at acrylics.
How the
medium
worm
I hated. And I can't even do anything with oils anymore.
How
I'm
the
just
worm
like,
has turned.
Who deals with this stuff? It never dries.
Yeah.
And then there's the watercolor where Jessica Rich can dance circles around me. So
Yeah,
so we
quite
just do acrylics now, weirdly. But once you learn to use acrylics, they're actually one of the more user-friendly mediums for somebody to just pick up because it's so forgiving. If you make a mistake, you can just paint over it, and that's really the important thing. When you're starting, you need to be able to feel like if I mess up, it's not a big deal.
start over, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people really freak out when they mess up. It's like, no. It's okay. Just paint over it. It's all right. Take a deep breath. Have fun with the hobby.
Oops, I just messed up. What should I do?
Paint over it.
Well, stop breathing.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
If he stops breathing, he can't answer you.
But now, when
Witty
did you start?
commentary.
When did you start painting? Would you say professionally? Either
okay.
for pay or for
While I was,
competition. For competition.
Well, both actually. While I was at the game store,
Okay.
because we had a consignment case, and most people put magic cards in it, but you could also put painted miniatures in it to sell. And the store took a small cut, and you got the rest of the money. So I started doing that. Just for fun. And then a bunch of people, including Jennifer Haley, some other famous names, Liliana Troy. I think mostly it was Jen, though, who was painting on eBay, painting and selling on eBay. And so I was like, oh, that's a way to make some extra money, because I was a broke college student.
Much bigger
working in a
audience.
game store.
Much bigger audience.
Yeah. And so kind of it all jumbled together because you got a lot more money per model if you painted well. And I was always interested in getting to be a better painter. So I kind of transitioned into eBay, started doing well and studying some other people's work. And then kind of started thinking about, oh, well, maybe I should try to enter Golden Demons. Maybe I should do that. And I think I
how did
Gen
that go
Con
for
a
you?
couple times. I went one year just to see, kind of walked up just to see the models in person, because you know it's never the same when you're looking at it on pictures. And came away from that going, I can do this. So I went back the next year and I won a Golden Demon.
There we go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Pretty much was it.
But that would be an intimidating, just to walk in cold and sit down and say, I'm going to start competing with y'all. So that was good to go in early.
Yeah. I mean, well, you always want to know. You kind of want your bar. Like if you're really serious about getting good, then go to a miniatures competition like ReaperCon's competition, for example, is a good one.
Shameless plug.
And kind of, I thought that's what we were supposed to do.
Okay, sorry.
Or even the Gen Con painting competition, or they don't have Golden Beam anymore, a crystal brush if you really want to.
I think they're bringing something back. TWS to the States.
There's rumors.
Oh, okay.
Rumors.
Okay. Well, there's always
on a
rumors.
shadow to the east.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go to a competition and kind of look at the models and get an idea what level you would need to kind of rise to be a contender. Kind of set your goals however you want to. But, and then look up if you can, if you have a favorite painter, what I always used to say is look up a model of theirs you really like, get that model, and try to paint it like they did. Just, you don't need to know what techniques they used or anything. Just try. Try to figure out in your own way how they managed to get the effects that they did. And that can help you a lot, just in trying to kind of focus in and say, oh, well, there are highlights there on the face, because you're trying to copy it, so you kind of notice these things. And that can be really useful when you're trying to get good.
Now, you still paint these days for commission.
Yes, I do.
And for famous people.
Well, for at least one famous person, yes.
Wow.
I do commission work for George R.R. Martin.
There we go.
Many,
thought I was going to have to pry that
author of Game of Thrones.
Never heard of it.
For those who have no idea. And
it hasn't shown.
Many of us do, because George has an extensive miniatures collection. He's been collecting toy knights for, decades. He has a huge, huge miniatures collection. So he's got modern stuff and he's got old stuff. And he's a joy to work with. He's a really, really fun guy. And if you're in Santa Fe, sometimes you're lucky and he'll even let you see his collection.
That's a very good reason to go to Santa Fe then.
Yes, well, for me to go to Santa Fe. But yes, George is fantastic. It's fun to work for him. For a long time, he was my only commissioning client because I just enjoyed doing stuff for him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how long have you been working for Reaper? How did you discover Reaper, and how did you end up in this place?
Well, I discovered Reaper because I worked at a game store. Duh.
Right.
In fact, I think the year I started was the year Dark Heaven, like maybe the year after. What year did Dark Heavens come out, Ron?
95.
Yeah, okay. See? 95, exactly when I started working for the game store. So, yeah, I was seeing your initial offerings, like those old
Does that sound right to you?
Mounted Reapers that you had.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
the first four, yeah.
Those were ambitious, and so, it kind of caught my eye. Later on, after I moved out to Baltimore for a year and actually was working for Games Workshop, I saw the initial offerings of the Warlord line, which really impressed me. It was kind of funky. How I ended up working for Reaper was actually, again, through Jennifer Haley, who is one of my best friends.
We were having an artist conference.
Yes, the first ever artist
for the
conference.
Painters. We had done one earlier with sculptors, and it turned out to be such a huge success. We said, well, let's just do this with the painters. Mm-hmm. So we went out and searched far and wide. Jennifer helped us a lot to locate and contact people we hadn't dealt with. Mm-hmm. Anne was one.
Yeah.
And we brought them all in.
She's like, dude,
they
you want to go to
engaged
Texas?
there for a week painting. It was really very, very productive.
Yeah,
very
for those
amazing.
who don't know, the artist conference is kind of where a bunch of the artists come in and we all kind of feed off each other.
Yeah.
We throw ideas back and forth. We get feedback from each other. We try new techniques.
I don't remember who all
stuff
was
like
there.
that.
I know Liliana was there.
Liliana was there. Kevin Walker was there. I was there. Jennifer was there.
Were the Glockas there?
I don't
No,
remember.
Werner was not. He showed. He was
Werner
at the
wasn't.
artist.
And the Glockas weren't.
The
Alex
Glocka
and
brothers,
Jason Glocka.
yes,
I don't
those
think
guys
they were
awesome.
at that one, but yeah, a bunch of. If you look back at some of in our gallery at some of the older models, you're gonna see a lot of names. I'm trying to think. Michael Janae was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
But that's where we met. That's where we talked.
That was the first time I met Liliana in person, actually.
And then after we talked, I don't know, you and I talked for a long time one day, and then I guess it was right after that we decided to make you an offer.
Yeah,
see if
before
we could
the end
swing
of
you
the
down this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before the end of the conference, in fact, you dragged me into a back office and said, for some reason, I'm sure you still regret it. What would it take for you to move down here? And I was actually between serious jobs at the time, so it was perfect timing for me.
Oh, good.
I had just left Games Workshop, moved back to the Midwest, and was kind of contemplating where I was going next anyway. So
well, that helped.
great.
That helped
great
a lot,
timing.
then.
Yeah, well, I was trying to keep myself open because, once you have had a non-real job, you never want to go back to your real job ever again.
Yeah.
I used to work in the finance industry.
But I remember one of the things that stood out about you was while all the painters were engaging, you were especially just open to anybody could come along. How do I do this? What do I do here?
Yeah.
And you were able to just so easily articulate it and demonstrate it. That was the most amazing thing.
Yeah, I like to teach, so it was easy for me. And I always like to get new people into the hobby because I've always wanted the hobby to grow. That's always been one of my primary things I've always wanted to see miniature painting grow as a hobby. From the competition side to even the gaming side, all of it.
Well,
I just want a lot of people.
That's really good. No, that's a nice intro. I mean, that's really an amazing way to get into it.
Yeah.
And they're almost the rock star way.
Okay.
Ron, did you get a chance to look at what was your favorite thing that came out that's coming out this month?
Well,
we were looking at a couple of different things. And,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and swap. Put this, and then I'll put this guy here.
Or I can put Wolfie back over there. I guess I put Wolfie's
you know what?
eyes
Wolfie's going to look a lot better than what I got going on here.
Yeah, well, Wolfie doesn't have eyeballs yet. Let me do his eyeball.
Okay.
So your other guy can be there for a little while until I do Wolfie's eyeballs.
My piece of crap until...
Now, Ron,
really good
we don't embrace negativity in the miniature painting scene.
Okay.
Wait.
Wait, I didn't... yeah, you didn't see my piece.
Oh, well, maybe I need to look at it.
Don't look at it.
What do you guys think?
No, look, just... Put it back.
Put it back.
I'm putting back. What I'm doing.
He's past the color yellow. That's an amazing advancement. Let's just go with it.
Shush. What I need to do is go back, and I'm painting all of his armor black. Right.
Right.
I know I'm going to go back over it with the metallic color later. So instead of leaving it white, I'm going to paint it all solid black first. Then I'll go back with the metallic, and I'll paint it.
Do you know why that works, Ron?
I bet you're getting ready to find out.
Tell me.
All right. So. Metallic flakes are formulated so that in order to reflect the best, a dark backdrop is the best thing to put behind them. So when you paint your metallics over a white primer, you're going to notice they're not as shiny. They look a little bit streaky. They're not optimal, right? But if you paint your gold over a dark brown or you paint your steel over black or a dark gray, you're going to see they're a lot more solid and a lot more shiny.
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, I was going to ask her if bonds are going up or down.
And the reason for that, is that the flakes are semi-translucent. So when light passes through them, they need something to bounce off of there.
You act like you've
done
messed
this
with paint before.
Yeah,
I don't really.
I'm not going to put mine
Just
up.
try
All
it.
right, no. After that explanation,
okay.
No, mine's not going up.
Did you prime? By the way, that's a resin model.
Yes.
This is not plastic
Yes.
or metal. So this
Right.
Did you prime that first?
Yes.
Let's
Yes,
see.
both ways.
Let's see.
All it is right now,
on
so
the
you got to
thing.
put it in
On
there.
the okay. You can't reach it.
All I've done is just block in color
So
sloppy.
you did how did you prime it? White and then dry brush black.
It's got a shot of black from one angle and then white from the top down.
Okay.
And then this is just the block washes on just to get basic colors in their general area. We're not worried about getting in the lines just yet.
So why prime it top down with white?
Because that would be the direction that the light's coming from.
Do you know what
I'm
that's
wanting to do.
called?
No, but I bet I'm getting ready to find out.
This is fun. Zenithal highlighting or overhead lighting is what that technique is technically called.
Well, now I got something to
Or
look up.
just priming a bunch of white crap on top of your black. Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. Take yours.
I need
and
a
we'll show
dictionary.
what Ann is working on.
Watch Ron try to
Here,
undermine
go ahead and
me.
take your bat.
Unsuccessfully.
I'll do this.
Give me the bat.
Okay,
Give me the
there's
bat.
a little bat lady.
Give me the bat. There you
Not
go.
a banshee,
There
but
you
a
go.
vampire.
I'll something
she's
or other.
a bat lady a second.
All right, so there's Wolfie. So I'm painting in Wolfie's eyeball, and I'm doing it in off-white. And the reason that I'm doing it in off-white is that Wolfie's eyeballs are extremely huge. The bigger an eyeball is, the more weird and cartoony it's going to look if you use a pure white. Now, I may turn around and say, well, Wolfie is kind of cartoony. He's a chibi, right? So
No, they're called what?
Bonsylvanians. There we go. Bonsylvanians.
I got corrected on that.
Oh, jeez.
technically, it's a chibi style figure.
It's a super
that
deep
is-
kind of figure. Let's not split hairs here, but whatever.
You're
Anyway,
splitting plenty of hairs.
Continue with your
my soliloquy.
your one woman
Hey,
show.
I bet that's a word that has never before
Yeah,
come up
that's
on
another
this
one I
show.
gotta
not on this show.
So essentially, when you're painting your models, if you're working on little models, then it's great to use pure white for the whites of their eyes because the eyes are so tiny, you want that to pop extremely sharply. But as you get bigger, as you start to work on 54 millimeters, 72 millimeters, some bigger monsters and giants, or even if you're working on busts, like our Grudge bust or any of the other busts out there, you're going to notice that pure white is way too bright for that. So start with an off-white or a slightly grayed white or a yellowed white, depending on what you're painting.
What would you recommend? Like the
I'd
Reaper-
honestly, for really big stuff, I'd even say weathered stone for really, really big stuff, because that looks white against anything but white. But otherwise, like linen white, creamy ivory. I'm actually using a bones color, skeleton bone, which is a nice neutral. I'm putting it right next to it. It's actually a really nice neutral off-white. It's got a little bit of brown in it and a little bit of gray, so it can serve both purposes. It's not too dark, so because I still want Wolfie's eyes to stand out pretty well.
Okay.
Now, your knowledge is amazing. So why don't we figure out a way, or you have a top secret project, that's right.
I thought it was top secret.
Well, now it's not
I thought the CEO of Reaper didn't even know about it. Apparently I was wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
Yes, so now that it's been outed, there's this secret project that I've got called the Reaper Toolbox. And hypothetically, this may be live on the air at some point. I'm not sure exactly when. You got to bug this guy to make it come out
No.
sooner.
You've got to bug the guy over there with the big brass balls that he's displaying for everybody to see.
That would be me.
Yeah. That's who you have to
Reaper
bug.
Toolbox, huh?
The Reaper Toolbox.
Reaper Toolbox.
Yes. We're just, we're waiting for a cute logo and, other things.
Yes.
Got to get me a cute logo, Ron. You're the art director.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is your job.
We did the.
Was your idea to get her on it? She's just calling us out right and left. That's it.
I know. That is it.
It's my job.
I hope you enjoy your last appearance on Reaper Live.
That's the point.
What are we going to cover on the toolbox?
All sorts of
What a great
painting
question.
information. It's my Reaper soapbox is what it is for me. And so essentially all of your painting questions about both just the paint itself, like how it works, why it works, what works together, a little bit of paint chemistry if y'all really want me to, painting techniques, just quick tips and tricks, and a little bit of peculiarities about why the lines are different and how they're different. And
What a
things
great
like that.
segue, Ann.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
gee, thanks, Ron.
That's actually a really very
think
common
I've
question
done
we
this.
get at the shows. Yes, Ron, you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Go.
That's a common question that people ask. What's the difference between the Master Series paint core
we don't have a
colors?
dude over there.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we don't have a dude. Wolfie, stay.
All right, so
I'm gonna
stay.
I'm gonna be pontificating, so
Bad
Wolfie
dog.
can stay.
The difference between the Reaper MSP core colors and the MSP Bones colors.
Colors.
People.
Besides the fact that Ed just keeps asking me to make paint lines.
Yes.
Besides that, what would you say? Well, just let us know. When you designed those, what was the gist of it?
Okay, well, obviously Master Series Core was the first line. So it was when I was first starting to learn about how to create paint lines, before I got my official title of paint line designer.
Designer, yes.
So right off, it's a huge line. So it's got a lot more color variety. It's a lot more all over the board as far as colors. It's got specialty colors in it, like liners and clears. It's got additives and primers and sealers. It's got the room, right? So it has all of those things.
And 216.
More than that.
More than
Well,
216
but in
with
the
the
main
Kickstarter colors.
but-
The
and then
main
you add
set
those
is
in, yeah.
216. But the first 54 were the first colors that I formulated for this line. And so if you are going to start out with core, the first 54 colors is a really good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you your basic rainbow of colors. It gives you a lot of skin tones. Gives you a good range of metallics.
Yeah.
Yep, gives you all the basics. So that if you want to start out, first 54 colors is great. Everything after that is more, gets into the more esoteric colors. Like I want some khakis, or I want, some yellow ochres, or I want some, a little bit more different, not your pure bright primaries.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that makes core different is that it's in triads, which was something we did because we wanted to make it a little bit easier. We were running into a lot of people, and in the course of teaching, and I've taught a lot in the course of my career because I enjoy it, people are scared to mix. And they get over it eventually, but often when they first start painting, the biggest question is, well, what do I use for a highlight? What do I use for a shadow? So we thought, well, if we did it in triads, we could just give them the midtone, and then the shadow, and then the highlight, and maybe they could mix from there if they wanted more highlights or things like that. So really, it's a tool to make it a little easier for you to get in as far as highlighting and shading.
And helps you with your color. Before you get too heavy into learning color theory, it's a good starting point.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, very
yeah,
much
and then
so.
there are also triads in there that are just like colors. Like we decided to put all 3 off-whites together, or 3 liners together, or all of the additives are in one triad, so it makes it easy for you to just pick up the triad box and just go if you want the primer, the flow improver, and the sealer. So that's another thing that's different. Bones. Bones is really the proudest thing that I've done. I'm actually more proud of that line than anything else I've done in paint. I love it to death. Go out and buy Bones. It's so cool. It is not just for Bones miniatures. It's for everything. The basic premise behind Bones is a little bit higher coverage out of the gate. At that point, I think I formulated Bones about a year and a half ago. I want to think about that.
Yeah, if not a little longer than that.
I've worked for Reaper, and I actually didn't answer this question earlier. I've worked for Reaper for 15 and a half years. So in all that time...
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
Seems like forever. So I started formulating Master Series Core about a year in. I started formulating Bones a year and a half ago. So all my technology, essentially my technological knowledge had gone way up through the roof. How
yes.
things act, how to make a line really work the way I wanted it to work. That was all key. So I was able to go into Bones with a far more comprehensive knowledge about how to create a really good sound paint line for coverage. Secondarily, it's got new tech in it because a lot of my job used to be, not as much anymore, but I still do R&D. So I'm still keeping an eye on paint products across the world and things that we can use. And Reaper makes an effort to be non-toxic. Across the board. We don't want your kids to have trouble with our products. So we're somewhat limited with that, but it means I've got to look a little harder. But the metallics in the Bones line are brand new tech. They are a non-toxic, but not mica-based flake, so they're shinier than other metallics. So that's what you're dealing with the Bones line. Higher coverage and new tech. Otherwise, they're fully compatible with the core line. They work great in an airbrush, just like the core line. They mix together just fine. You won't notice any problems.
Mm-hmm. So you can airbrush with the core colors, right? Do they need to be thinned down?
Yes.
And if they do, what would you thin them down with?
Just water.
Water. Straight up water, and you want to get to about the consistency of milk and just start shooting.
You use the dairy product reference. I know you all hate the dairy product reference, okay? So the thing is, no.
It's in the grocery store. It can't be bad yet.
We all are lactose intolerant. We don't buy that anymore. Okay. But anyway, so yes, thin it. And how much you thin it is just dependent on what PSI you want to shoot it at. If you lower your PSI, you can shoot it a little thicker. If you got a higher PSI, you're going to want to thin it a little more.
And if you don't know your PSI, get it close to milk.
So the core colors are a little thinner for layering and whatnot.
Yes.
Bones colors are a little thicker, a little higher coverage.
We use a high density pigment with Bones that was a new product that we brought in. And it's not so much that Master Series Core is thinner, so much as Master Series Core acts more like an artist's paint line, where the coverage is dependent on what specific pigment you're using. Some pigments have naturally higher coverage than others, and so the colors that are made with those pigments in Core have great coverage, but the ones that are made with the thinner, more transparent pigments have less coverage, like greens and yellows.
In the line, there are multiple things, like there are liners, there are...
in the core line, you mean? Yeah.
Yes, in the core colors line. There are liners, there's a wash medium, for example. There's all sorts of additives and things like that. Yep. Really quickly, just kind of gloss over it, no pun intended. Can you tell us about some of the additives in the line and what you can do with those?
Pun totally.
I know
intended.
it's a huge topic to cover real quickly, but see if you can...
All right, so straight up bullet points.
Ready, go.
Okay, 5 seconds.
All right, we've got 3 primers in the line. No, it's going to take longer than 5 seconds. He's already delayed me just by taking his snarky comments in. All right, black primer, gray primer, white primer. Black primer, you kind of covers your shadows for you because you can keep the black in the cracks and it makes your colors a little darker, but it's harder to get bright colors over it. White primer, you get great bright colors there, but you also have to use shading because obviously everything is just going to be cartoon bright over that white primer, just like a white paper. Gray primer is just kind of that middle tone. Sometimes I'll use it for historical figures or something more naturalistic, just because it kind of gives it a little bit more of that muted tone. Additives to the paint. We've got the anti-shine additive totally confuses people. So what that is that's our matting medium that we add into our colors naturally, every color in the line that's not a gloss, which is pretty much everything. It's just there if you want the color to be even a little bit more toward dead matte. You add just tiny increments of it. Just be very careful, because if you add too much, it's going to frost. But if you want your burgundy wine to be really, really flat, just add a little bit more of that matting medium. You're fine. If you want the brush-on sealer to be a little bit more matte out of the gate, add a little bit of your matte additive, and that'll make it that. Flow improver, obviously, improves flow, breaks surface tension. If you're doing lining, thin detail, fine detail, anything like that, putting a little extra flow improver into your paint mix does not hurt. Sealers, we have a gloss sealer and we have a brush-on sealer. Brush-on sealer actually is not dead matte out of the bottle. The reason for that is we found that the matting medium would settle out over time, and when people got halfway through the bottle, it would start to frost. So what it is it's kind of a satin, straight out of the bottle. Shake well, please, before you use it. If you want it to be more matte, add a little bit of water to it. It mattes out pretty well that way. Gloss sealer is exactly what you'd think. It's shiny. You can use it for saliva, drool effects, water effects, wet effects, things like that. It's really useful. It's also extremely durable. So if you put on a layer of gloss sealer and then you put, say, a spray matte sealer over it for gaming models, that will help to protect your model. I'm trying to think. What else? Wash medium. is pretty much doing it for you. If you just want to make a wash any old way, throw 5 or 6 drops of wash medium into a drop of paint, and there you go. You got it. Ready-made wash. Tune it as you wish. What are we missing?
We used the Flow Improver as wash medium a couple weeks ago.
Not as good.
Sealer.
Or brush-on sealer?
Brush-on sealer.
Brush-on sealer is an okay wash medium, but it really needs a little bit more water added to it to get a little runny.
To get it,
Yeah, because it's quite
Pat
viscous.
Keith showed us that trick, but then Rhonda Bender immediately replied with, you have a wash medium, you can use that for.
Anybody could do it that one.
I know. Thanks, Rhonda.
You were an expert. The other thing, clears and liners. Clear brights are pretty much translucent, bright, super bright colors. Hey, Ed, you know what? That ogre's been on there a while. You want to just throw that sucker? Yeah.
There we go. Try this one. Stick that one on there.
Yeah, because,
I'm still basking in the most awesome 5 seconds I've ever spent in my life, so.
I don't even want to know.
No, keep going.
All right, so clear brights, bright. If you want something to really pop, if you want to use, if you want a really good highlight for your red, clear red is the brightest red you're going to find. If you want to do mixing, then the clear brights are pretty much a single pigment in a clear base. So there's nothing else in there that's going to muck with your color mixes. Some things like clear magenta, very underrated color. It's really the secret to making great purple highlights. Add a little bit of clear magenta and a little bit of white to your purple, and you'll see a great highlight. Liners, essentially, exactly what you'd think. They are good for dark lining a miniature, which is shading. Essentially, you're putting a dark line between 2 different areas on a figure. They can also be used as regular paint. I actually used them on Wolfie here. We'll talk about that in a bit, but Ed, you've got your miniature up there. Why don't you talk about what you've done?
So far, nothing like what you've just described, okay? This is still but anyway, I'm pulling it all together now. I'm putting more or less highlights to it to start defining it. I'm tightening up the lines, just trying to pull it all together. There's still got to bring it up some levels, things like that. It's basically for a quick game paint job, it's a very easy model to paint. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. How's the yellow going, Ron?
It's kicking me in the balls.
Okay, well, no, that would be Justin, but anyway... Let's look at Wolfie, because Wolfie just...
I should be done around June or so.
Wolfie's pretty. Okay. Wolfie's, obviously Wolfie spent a lot of time on the platform, so we're going to put him back. But anyway, I can tell you about why he's got liners on him. The liners are good dark colors for anything, and I actually love to use them just as regular paint. Even though they're a little more transparent, when you add white to them, you can get some really nice colors. So Wolfie's fur is a combination of brown liner and blue liner with a little bit of that skeleton bone mixed into it. Which gives me a really organic gray that's got some brown tones in it, which is great for wolves in general. So, and then using an off-white helps with that. Since wolves obviously don't have pure white on them, it's going to be kind of more of a dirty white. So that's what I was doing with
Now, with his pants, are you going to pull a contrast color, or are you still going to go with your gray theme?
I'm going to, no. The pants is definitely they're going to be blue, and they're probably going to be really weathered down denim. Just
to work with the overall gray, but in a nice small contrast.
Yeah, okay. I wanted some bright points on there, so his tongue is bright, obviously. And then he's got the tan points, which are kind of yellowish. So at that point, I've got the red, yellow, blue. And choosing triad colors like that, primaries or secondaries, is a good way to kind of balance a figure.
That's what Ron and I always do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you said you got into this by playing D&D.
Yeah.
What was your very first D&D adventure? Do you remember?
Wow, that's a long time. Keep on the Borderlands.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
So, did you ever play the Isle of Dread?
Yes, I love the Isle of Dread, and I can't wait for our new dinosaurs to come out.
So, Goodman Games is coming out with a new version of the Isle of Dread in a big, fat, hardback format. So, you mentioned Keep on the Borderlands. Goodman Games also did that with Keep on the Borderlands. They took the original Keep on the Borderlands first edition adventure and they bound it into this. They did a 5th edition version of it, bound it to a big hardback book, and they put it out. And I got it immediately. I was like, I gotta have that because my first adventure was Keep on the Borderlands too.
Because you need more stuff in your office.
Because I need more stuff in my office. And now, and then of course when we were kids, we did Keep on the Borderlands, and then we graduated up to the expert set because we were so good at D&D. You got the Isle of Dread in the expert box, right? So Goodman Games is now coming out with the Isle of Dread hardback monstrosity book with the first edition versions and an updated 5th edition version. I believe some new stuff's in there as well. And that's coming out, I think, in December. And like you said, we have new dinosaur minis coming out. So I'm
really cool dinosaur minis.
Yeah, really cool dinosaur minis. So I'm anticipating picking up the new Isle of Dread hardback from Goodman Games, hopefully in December or so.
That's good to know that that's coming out.
It's going to be really cool. So I saw that today while flipping through one of the
Have you given them a tour of your office yet?
No, that's on the list.
No.
It's just not happening.
All right,
coming.
guys, do this seriously.
I have to,
you got to see it.
Ron, that's actually cool. I wasn't afforded that luxury. My DM had to create everything from stock. But
yeah, I know. Y'all played D&D by walking barefoot in the snow.
And we
Okay.
we banged rocks
uphill.
together to make electricity. But anyway, no, I did. I loved reading that series. I loved a lot of the Judges Guild. So that was just really sort of a great time.
I painted and sculpted a little water elemental while y'all were talking. Go ahead.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good too.
Where is it?
Right there.
Oh, well, he wasn't kidding. Well, yeah, I don't know. I can't see it because our cup's in the way.
Well, it's kind of easy to call his bluff, if you didn't.
It's right there.
Hey Ron, that water elemental's cool and all, but you ready? You guys ready for some questions?
Yes.
Sure.
And it is
Sure.
cool, I agree.
In fact, I think it's about that time of the week, isn't it?
For what? You mean the question of the week?
Yeah, we still don't have a graphic yet.
Yeah.
Who gets to answer the question
Whole
of the
big
week?
graphic
All three
goes
of us.
here, right?
Oh, wow.
And music, whatever.
If you care to.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
We
We'll
ought to have a
see.
sign, but nobody actually work so you can all imagine a huge, awesome, glittering logo going, question of the week. All right, what is
So
it?
yes, question of the week.
All right. The question of the week actually comes from a fellow named Mason Petros.
Hi, Mason.
Hello, Mason.
Hey,
Thanks for
Mason.
watching.
Let's see if we can actually answer your question.
Yeah.
His question is,
Lay it on us.
assuming you're bringing a new miniature to the table and you're a new painter, would you rather bring something that you're not happy with, a work in progress, or something that's just completely unpainted?
So we're learning to paint.
Yeah.
And as we're learning, what would help advance us faster?
Bring it
Yes.
to the table.
That's why I understand
So
it.
it's like, I'm understanding it like, would you rather just say, I don't want to show people my bad work or the work I don't like, or,
Bad
am I
work
gonna
is
be
very important.
shamed, by bringing a primed miniature?
Okay.
Bad work means that you're learning,
Right.
right? You learn.
It's all bad.
It's all
until you-
practice. Yeah. Me personally, I'm ready to toss these guys right now. Just toss them. Done. Ready to just start over. But
The minis are your co-hosts.
I thought he meant us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. We have worked together for a long
I
time.
was just going to say, take your choice. But I'm going to stick with it. As irritating as they are to me, as irritated as I am with myself, I'm going to stick with my unpainted, unfinished miniatures. And just keep working at it, because I know that eventually they'll get there. Although,
I can see,
you know,
I could totally appreciate that. For me, it was actually just the opposite. I
Right.
would get to a point, and I would say, well, I learned this from this one. I didn't learn this one. I don't want to finish it. It's frustrating. I don't want to redo that part to catch up what I just learned. Go to the next miniature. Then again, I had a coffee can full of figures to burn
That's
through.
true.
Okay, so
That's
it's
true.
not like I was having to be pick and choosing.
I guess this sort of ties into the whole, you're going to, die with unfinished miniatures in your collection. You'll never finish your collections.
No,
because they're
no.
all half finished? Is that what
Yeah.
it is? Or you just don't even start most of them?
Just don't even start most of them or whatever. Yeah.
What about you, man? What would you
What would you do?
what's your-
How do you
All
do
right. Well, I'll answer it both ways, because I kind of understood his question to be more like, like, would you actually bring a miniature you weren't happy with to the gaming table, or would you just bring something primed? I actually brought an unfinished miniature to my gaming table just on Saturday, since we're playing Pathfinder, and my character, I'm the one who's the professional miniature painter. I'm the one who doesn't have the painted figure.
Shame. Shame.
Yeah,
Shame.
listen to that.
Shame.
There,
I thought
done
there
that,
was no
yeah.
shame, no blame. But yeah, so I actually did bring a unpainted figure. Oh, okay, she has skin. That's it. To the table. And I've been bringing an unpainted figure, completely unpainted. Like, she didn't even have skin for the first 6 sessions. So, who cares? Do what you want. Why does it matter what they think? On the other side of things, as far as, do you stick with a miniature that you're really unhappy with, or do you just power through? Or do you start something new? I actually do believe in what Ed said, where you can only learn so much from a figure. But I'm going to caveat that and say that it's really valuable to push through and at least finish things. Because if you never finish anything, it just saps your energy. You have this shelf or box or whatever full of half-painted figures, and you just feel like you're never going to finish anything. And so push through, at least finish the thing to some sort of standard. You can then be unhappy with it if you want and move on to something new, but at least you finished it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I would look at it.
I agree.
And that's good. And that's why if they're in a can, you don't see them.
And you know what, Mason Pete Ross, for asking that question of the week, You win a prize.
You do. That's actually
we have
a
prizes
very
here?
good question.
You win a prize. You win 3 unpainted ogres that are not finished. No.
Oh, I thought it was an autographed picture.
No, you said you were going to
Oh.
finish them. You can't give him those.
Fine.
What are you going to give him instead?
Okay, fine. Okay, all right.
We have something else.
Let me
over
just
here.
look around and see if I can find something. Maybe we can. Hey, look at what he have right here. Look, Mason, you're going to win the new Shub Niggeroff box set. Look, there he is right there in his clamshell.
Do you like Call of
Not
Duty?
even out on the street yet.
Not even out. Won't even
You
come
can be
out.
first to eBay.
November 19th is the day he comes out. November 19th. And you're going to get him way early.
He will cost you sanity points, just so you know.
That's true. So you get the Shub
Goes
Niggeroff
with the
model sculpted by
territory.
Kevin Williams in a clamshell. You also get,
Also?
How
How do I get into
this
this
just
deal?
happened to be laying right here in the chair. I don't know how it got
Also-
here. The Mystic Circle box set.
Ooh, terrain for your games.
Yes.
Which is a very cool piece. When it's assembled, it's badass.
Sculpted by Kevin Williams.
It's super neat.
Both of them.
So, here, did you know this? I'll tell you something. I don't know which specific piece it is. I think it might be one of the smaller pieces down here at the bottom. But if you take this piece out, Shub Niggeroth will fit directly into that spot where that rock
diorama.
goes to. It is was very deliberately sculpted that way because originally, here's a piece of Bones lore you didn't know. Kevin originally sculpted this to be a diorama where you would have Shub Niggeroth and the Mystic Circle as like he was invading and knocking over all this stuff.
Then he tried to get approval from me.
Right, and then it
And
got
Ed
rejected.
said-
And I said, no,
Yeah, the
put another
production
stupid
cost,
rock there
everything,
instead.
yeah.
Right. So
remember that, yeah.
we cleverly broke it into 2 different sets.
To fool me. And it worked.
And it worked.
I was completely I didn't
totally
see that one coming.
Didn't
Yeah.
remember that at all.
Yeah. So Mason P. Ross, you're going to win both of those things.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a very good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. So good job. Thank you very much. Next question, Justin.
Speaking of questions, where do people send their questions?
Oh, hey, great question.
Yeah, I don't know where to send
Yeah,
my
please let us know,
Send all
Ron.
your
My
questions.
question is, how can I escape from this show?
Too late.
Don't
In
email
one
that.
attempt, Ron, a singular attempt, where can they send these questions?
Send your questions to questions.
Wrong already.
All right.
Send your questions to reaperlive@reapermini.com.
Yeah.
Not questions. reaperlive@reapermini.com. We get this wrong every week. We're not professionals.
No, you. I'm not even going to try
I'm a
it. You get it
professional.
wrong.
It's rubbing off on me. So reaperlive@reapermini.com. Send any question you want to answer there. Now, you may not get it answered. Maybe you will. Hell, who knows? But send all your questions there, please.
Move your water elemental, i.e.
Just
post a putty.
No, it's not. It's a cool water elemental. Okay.
Julie's
Next.
water weird is much better.
This is quite good. Next question.
All right. So the next question comes from Jim. It's just Jim.
Jim.
Yeah,
Okay, Jim.
just Jim.
All right,
Just
Jim.
Jim. Okay.
To paraphrase a little bit, he wants to know, is the in-house manufacturing of Bones Minis still in the plan, or is it no longer being considered?
In-house. Oh.
That's
from Bones One.
that's a you question.
That's a me
You
question.
tackle that one.
Yes, we're actually already doing that. We've brought tools over from China. Now, we aren't producing them in-house because of the different materials. We're already producing with the machine you might have seen anything that's in hard plastic, styrene plastic, the bases, and there's different things we're doing on weapon sprues. The Bones material being a different material where we've got a place here in Dallas. So we bring the tools in, we're storing them here, we run them down there, they pick it up. So at least we're starting to get it over here into the USA. And then as we can get space, we have an expansion coming up. We're moving production into that area for the plastic. The plastic machines will go in there. We'll be able to have more storage, be able to start moving into that ourselves. So yes, we are getting there.
So what
Slowly
you're-
but surely, more slowly than surely, but we're getting there.
So you're saying it's not just a simple thing just to go,
No,
just get those and just
EPA
push
regulations.
a button and
It's like
Yeah.
you wake up one morning and decide you want to build a car. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that simple just to go ahead and just automatically just have things shifted over.
That's a
So,
good question. That's a good question.
That's a good question. We get that asked quite a bit, actually.
So, what's next one?
Next question comes from Nicholas J. I believe we had a question from him last week.
Yeah.
It's another good question.
Okay.
I remember Broke 61. I don't remember that close enough. And
Have
that
you-
fiasco.
Have you considered producing a fantasy line focused on more old school, non-heroic looking minis?
Technically, a lot of the original.
We've already
Dark
covered. I
Heaven-
mean, in one side of the equation would be we've already covered
We already kind of do that.
everything that you could imagine old school. We've already got. Now, if you're wanting to go back, let's say to look scale wise and fit in with Ra Partha, or actually get more about, I guess, the miniatures that were being produced when you had AD&D, or even second edition or whatever, that period of time. it would just really depend
We're
on
not,
the art.
we're not
we
going
don't,
backwards in scale.
We can't do that.
We're not going to go backwards in scale.
Yeah, that would confuse
And also,
people.
too, we don't really own that art. I mean, to be able to go in, and this is actually a very common question, is when are you going to make X from the monster manual? And we're like, well, we probably aren't. If it is what it is, that belongs to those
trademarked,
people.
Yep, copyrighted.
We'll do our versions of monsters. Usually, we'll track them and pull them out of mythology and things like that. But to actually go back and reproduce something that's already done, I would just have to go out and look for it. Somebody's either already doing it now or has done it in the past, and that would just be what I'd look for.
There are some companies out there who actually produce some really, really nice old school models that are based on that art.
Look at Dark Sword. They do like Larry Elmore's art and Keith
Yeah.
Dickinson's art,
Dark
and
Sword's
that's
a good
all
one. Yeah.
classic Dungeons and Dragons.
So
yeah.
So anyway, that answers that, I would guess.
But as far as old school, I mean, I think some of our figures do have an old school feel.
Right.
Sometimes.
Well, the whole
some of them
Dungeon
don't.
Dweller line was really sort of a nice throwback to models that were very familiar to a lot of people, and so it was just sort of a redo of that.
And I think
reboot.
we're all kind of steeped in old school gaming and
Obviously,
painting, so it's always going to come through every now and then with a few models here and there that some of this old school feel. But we're not tied to that. We're going to do experimental things all the time.
Yeah.
Well, as far as old school miniatures go, I mean, a lot of the things that made that old school was the limits on technology and mold making and everything that we can exceed now. So, you'd ask, well, why would we do that classic one-piece fighter again when we can do something so much cooler?
And that's even true even for the 2D art. I mean, just the line art is just so far superior. Nowadays, it's just incredible what artists are doing.
And one thing I was going to say is, and just because sometimes I think people get kind of take old school wrong with some, just because it's old school doesn't mean it's boring. I think like you said, the Dungeon Dweller line is an old school feeling line. To me, it's not a boring line. It doesn't come all across as a dull.
Do they know what Dungeon Dweller line is?
I should hope so. It's our current promotion. We've been promoting for the last
a whole year.
10 months out.
Maybe you should promote it a little bit more.
Okay.
Like here on the show, like now.
Every month you make a $40 order, you get a free Dungeon Dweller.
You get a free Dungeon Dweller.
Yes.
You've been under a rock? Go look at our front page.
Well, who looks at front pages anymore?
And Anne's new paint line she developed. The Bones Dungeon Dweller paints.
Those are now available as well.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So,
I developed it, but Ron made up the colors and the names.
The names were fun. So, yes, old school, great, but are we going to go back and scale?
No. What's the next one?
You guys ready for your last question?
Yes. Last question.
Last question.
Closing time.
Oh,
I don't think I can put that on there. That might be copyrighted.
Paint Club rules, no singing.
My apologies.
All right, let's see here. The next one comes from, the last one comes from the Jonathan Peterson. In case you guys are curious, the Jonathan Peterson. Correct.
Good.
He wants to know.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Direct quote here. What are the top 5 to 10 movies that have inspired the miniatures and or paints you have created? Or, in short, to expand upon this, what are some of the influences for inspiration you guys feel have caused the creation of certain miniatures we've made or paints we've made?
It just goes hand in hand. I mean, without getting into specific miniatures, when the Egyptian themed movies were going on, what was that called? The Mummy, and any of that series, and because the Mummy would go with the Jonathan. And so you're going through that, then we came out with a lot of just Egyptian themed stuff. Not necessarily things out of that movie or directly to that movie, just the whole genre was that. Same thing happened with Pirates. We're very much those kinds of things. A specific movie, no, not really. I mean, Armies of Darkness is always a good one. You're going to get Undead Warrior. You're going to get a lot of stuff in there, but
you've touched on
it'd be very limited.
On a pretty good point there, Ed, because a lot of the time our sculptors are coming up with concepts for us. They will get something and say, hey, we really like that idea, and they'll just go with it. So, any cool movie that comes out or book they read or anything that inspires them. I mean, even video games, Julie and Bob, they love Skyrim, and, so they loved, kind of... They got inspired to do a lot of figures, I think, during that time.
Sure, and
but for
movies and things will come out, and it's like we go, okay, we have to go watch this movie so we can figure out what you're
going to do. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Movies just sort of get into the collective social culture,
subconscious.
Oh my gosh, and you just sort of get influenced by the things you see, right? And so if you're
so we don't set out to do it.
We don't set out to, but it's just
like you guys.
Culture influences. It's pop culture in general, comics, fantasy, art, gaming, video games, all that kind of stuff. We're influenced by everything.
Oh no,
like Ann said, there's nothing specific that we go out, or get influenced by. It's just fantasy, art, gaming culture all together.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, that would be about the best way to answer it.
We're good cultural consumers that way.
Yeah.
We love our nerds.
All right, awesome. Why don't you guys give us a little look-see at what you guys have been doing? Give us your final product after today.
It was. Now it's been
blocked. Here, take your pseudo banshee. Okay, so I'm still blocking in the black. I'll be done by around July or so.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Move a little faster, man.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, well.
I'm not a professional.
You can't push perfection.
Yeah, that's right. Good things take time. Here,
Yes.
I'll take up Mr. Ogre here.
Oh, too late. For anybody that saw mine before I got off.
One last look at my water elemental. I started that. Gosh,
about 30 seconds
No,
ago.
about a year ago. I finally finished it up. I just go put that on mold.
Wolfie says he wants his
Here,
spotlight.
get his screen time. Okay, I'm gonna take my
Wolfie
water
wants
elemental
his
away.
screen time. He says, "Hey, there are highlights on my pants now, and I have claws, and I have teeth." So Anne actually made some progress on quickie highlighting and shading.
So Reaper Toolbox maybe coming soon.
Yes.
Same TM.
Keep your
One last
eyes
thing.
out.
I want to thought we got a card in the mail from Ray Ballard. Hello, Ray.
Hi,
Thanks,
Ray.
We get these occasionally, but this is very nice. Autumn leaves, chilly eves, scarecrows watching over flickering lights, bonfire nights, welcome the wild October. Okay.
Fancy.
But every year I can't wait for the Halloween goodie bag from you guys, and every year I say to myself, I've got to send Reaper a thank you card. Well, you can tell how good I am at Halloween resolutions because this is the first one I've sent. Thank you. And P.S. I love bones. Well, thank you, Roy.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ray. Ray or Roy?
Roy.
Roy. Thanks, Roy.
Thanks. We actually, we like receiving cards and stuff. It's fun.
It is fun to get cards.
Or even an email that says we're doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
I send those out all the time. Ron gets one of those a day from me. You were doing an awesome job.
Is that in his contract?
No.
I should have negotiated.
All right, well, I think it's time to let these miniatures dry. You can always catch up with us on all the news at reapermini.com.
Also, look for us and get to all the social medias. We have Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Just get there. Whatever you do, leave comments. We don't care. We just want you to enjoy it.
And make sure to send all your questions to reaperlive at reapermini.com. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you
You're
for letting us
welcome.
be on your show. That's very nice.
Yeah. And thanks for previewing the Reaper Toolbox.
Yes,
that what you
the Reaper
did? Yes.
Toolbox.
Again, I'm Ron Hawkins. Thanks for watching.
I'm Ed Pugh. We'll see you next week. Wave goodbye, Ron.